You're listening to Just a Dude Podcast with your host, Nathan. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's roll. What's up, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to Just a Dude Podcast, where we keep it real, chill, and dive into some awesome stories. I'm your host, Nathan, just a dude hanging out with some incredible guests. Today, we've got Rich LaMonica, a U.S. Army vet turned podcast host who's built a whole community around inspiring veterans and misfits alike. Stick around, you're going to love this guy's vibe. Rich is the mastermind behind the Misfit Nation show, a podcast and platform started by veterans for veterans, and, honestly, anyone who feels like they don't quite fit the mold. He's got 20-plus years in the Army, a passion for storytelling, and a mission to spread positivity. Rich, dude, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you inviting me to the Just a Dude show, Nathan. This is an honor for me to be here.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'm so glad to have you because we share something in common. Obviously, we both have our own, podcasts that we get to be hosts on. So I'm glad to have you here. But I really wanted to start with the basics because I know you're an Army vet. And how did you end up serving, and what was that journey like for you?
Great question. It was a weird journey for me because I always wanted to join the Army as a kid, playing G.I. Joe in the streets and stuff in Jersey City. I kind of watched war stuff with my dad because he was just before Vietnam in the Army, so he was kind of watching Vietnam on TV when I was a little kid. So I'd sit there and watch it. I said, that's a pretty cool thing to do, go out there and play G.I. Joe. He said, you don't realize as a kid the horrors of what's actually going on, but I wanted to do that. And when it came time to join after high school, junior year to senior year, I wanted to join. I was too young, so my dad had to sign for me to go in. And he told me right there, no, enough of us have served. You're not going to serve. You're going to go to college. I said, that wasn't in my plans. That wasn't in my playing deck. So now I have to take all those courses that I didn't take for the first 3 years of high school
Right.
to get into college. So my senior year, instead of messing around like all my friends, I studied and I got into college, took the SATs. I actually passed it somehow. I went to Berkeley College in New York for my first year. And then I transferred to St. Peter's College for 3 semesters. I played college football for 2 years. And then I finally joined the Army and I did a 22-year stint as a soldier.
Yeah, 22 years is nothing to shake at, right? I mean, 22 years in anything is a long time, but as a soldier is even more. So you definitely, you go from soldier to a podcast host, but what's the story behind the Misfit Nation? Because I read on your site, it started with a band of misfit soldiers on a desert plain, but that sounds epic. So can you tell us a little bit more?
Definitely. My third deployment was to Kandahar, Afghanistan. In 2010, I was in Korea from 2008 to 2010. I requested to go to Germany from Korea, and the Army said no because you'll be deploying if you go to Germany, so we don't want your family to go through that. So they sent me to Fort Campbell, a place I love, but I still deployed within 60 days. And
it still happened anyway, right?
Yes, I left them anyway, so it didn't really matter. And I met my platoon over there. My platoon was made up of soldiers from all over our battalion, so it was the island of misfit toys, really. So that's where the name Misfit comes from. And
I like it. That's the first thing that came to my mind was the island of misfit toys from that old, Rudolph, I believe it was, right?
Christmas, sure show. I would say cartoon, but I don't think it was really cartoon. It was like those little claymation kind of.
Yeah, claymation, yep.
And that sticks in our heads, obviously, how the misfit toys. And that's what we were. We were from all over the place. All different kinds of jobs came together to protect Fob Wilson and to do QRF outside of Fob Wilson. And on December 31st of 2010, Sergeant Michael Beckerman, one of my young team leaders, was killed. He was the only soldier I've ever lost in combat. And that made our misfits become even stronger, even tighter, even warm together. Our bond got tighter. We became more of a bigger family. And as I retired in 2015, tried to find out what to do with myself. And then it wasn't until 2020-ish, I guess, I came up with this crazy, mind-blowing idea to have a podcast. And I asked them, can I use the name Misfit, but add Nation to it, called Misfit Nation? And all of them 100% on board to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's great how you took that camaraderie, from your time in service with your buddies and then move it into your own podcast that you can then, I'm sure we're going to get more into about what it's about, but it says that, your show is about veterans, small businesses, and mental health awareness, which something that I'm a big advocate for too. Just so you know, Rich, I was a police officer for 13 years, so I know the toll, that military veterans go through, first responders, things like that, with our mental health. So I'm glad to, I'm really excited to share that with you, because I'm a huge advocate for mental health, especially with PTSD, things like that, but why did you choose those pillars for the why behind what you do at Misfit Nation?
When I first started the show, my idea was, I don't know if you know the statistics, that in the 2020 time period, and even now, we're losing about 22 veterans a day. If you listen to what the VA is saying, if you're looking at science and everything else, it's about 44 a day we lose to suicide. And that comes from many things. Yes, PTSD is one of them. Losing your purpose and all, and having anxiety, having depression, all that adds up together. You wind up in the darkness. Same thing with first responders. So I said, if I can get these veterans on my show, tell their story, let them breathe a little bit, maybe they'll stay with us a little longer, because
Yep.
now they can breathe. Now they can share what they did with the world. And that was my goal in the beginning. As we got to about the 12th episode, I think, or maybe 13th, I had someone call me back and say, hey, this is great, but can you give us tools to do all these other things? Like you said earlier, how do we start a business? How do we write a book? How do we get to Hollywood? How do we get music? How do we become entrepreneurs? And you name it, they wanted to learn it. So I started just asking for guests on Podmatch, especially.
Yeah.
We've done 529 episodes now. So it's
Wow.
going pretty well.
Yeah, that is nothing to shake a stick at. Over 500 episodes is a huge endeavor, and especially within such a short, for podcasting, such a short amount of time, right? 5 years essentially, and 500 episodes. So it's like 100 episodes a year, which is fantastic. And not only are you getting that message out there and talking with veterans, but you're giving them something to relate to, because I think a lot of times especially with men, we seem to be a little more stubborn in what we do, but, no, not at all, right, Rich? But, we seem to be a little bit more stubborn. And until we hear someone that's similar to us, come forward and say something, we're usually tight-lipped and just packing all that stuff down, aren't we?
Definitely. 100%. I call myself hard-headed. I was hard-headed for a very long time. And
Yep.
my first deployment in 2003, 04, I came home and my wife and daughter told me something's wrong with you. I said, no, something's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong.
Right.
And it wasn't until after I lost Sergeant Beckerman, so I came home 2011, I actually asked for help then. And I was told, since I'm a leader, I don't need it. I need to go back to work.
Of course. Yeah.
Right. Now I tried, and then I just didn't look for it again until 2016-ish. I finally got help.
Yeah, and you retired in 2015, is that what you said?
2015.
Yeah, so and at least you asked for help, within that year of coming out, because I could tell you, like, I know I've worked with some folks that have retired from the military, retired from police force, firefighting, whatever, and if they don't seek that help and they do have any issues that they have, whether it be PTSD, anything, then like you said, generally they tend to go down a path that's extremely destructive or even leads to death. So, it's great that you have a show out here, Misfit Nation, because I think a lot of people feel like misfits. We have that imposter syndrome. I'm just going through life, just doing the thing. But how do I get out there and be active and be a person? And, your show seems like it's going to fit the bill for most of these folks to say, hey, listen, we've been through this. We're bringing on people that have been through this. We could help you, be the best version of yourself that you could be.
Definitely. And I think, like you said, imposter syndrome for us as podcasters, we're little guys in the podcasting world.
Yeah.
If you look at the big picture, and there's people that get paid way too much.
Yeah, we're not Joe Rogan, right?
That's the name I was going to say. But me and you, I mean, I do mine as a one-man show. I'm pretty sure you do everything on your own. There's a lot of work that goes into a podcast that people that watch us or listen to us or come on our show don't understand. But those guys have a team. We are the team, and it takes a lot of passion and having a lot of purpose to get that thing together and make sure that we get these messages out there to help others. And that's what keeps me going.
And I think that's what really drives behind it, right? Is that we know there's people out there that are looking or listening, in our case, in most of the cases, looking or listening for something that can help them out. And if it's, even if it's just one little off thing, like, myself having you on the show and introducing Misfit Nation to the listeners, because I know I have a lot of veteran listeners, a lot of, former first responders and stuff are active, and they're looking for shows like yours, shows that they can relate to that says, you know what, here's people that have been through similar situations, may not be identical, but at least similar. They know something that's going on. And if it worked for them, what do I have to lose to try it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, because you're probably not going to get worse. I mean, we can get worse, right? But I don't want to downplay that at all. But it's not going to hurt you any to try to give it a shot.
Right.
Yeah.
I started
So
I started
go ahead.
this basically because I had 8 hours a week left at it. Because I just finished my master's at Georgetown, so I was like, I had about 8 hours a week not dedicated to anything.
And instead of just sitting back, you're like, wait a second.
I said, everyone else can do when I can try this out. And I started, and it's like an addiction, I guess, because for each show, if I reach one, teach one, or help one person on each show, it's a success for me. And I think it would be the same for you as well.
Absolutely, because I feel the same thing is that there's so many messages out there that people just have not heard. And if just one person gets some type of benefit from the show, from the guest, then I'm happy that I've spent hours, just preparing the one show and getting everything edited and put out there, So like you said, reach one, help one. That's the best positive attitude to have. But now with yours, because you're a little bit more of a niche than I am, because with veterans and things like that, with the Misfit Nation, but you're also bringing on some pretty darn interesting guests. And, you brought on Army vets, health coaches, even a dude named Billy Nomad, who's been your, I don't want to say favorite, but what's a story that's kind of stuck with you out of all the guests that you've had?
I think the most impressive guest I had on was General McChrystal, Stanley McChrystal. He was the amazing leader in the military. He's an amazing leader now. Amazing guest. He actually, I mean, basically, I was out of the show. He was talking. I was standing there saying yes, sir, and it was a great show. But as far as guests go, I have one that's been on 4 times. Miss Terry Brown. She's an author, amazing woman,
Yeah.
human being, and I love every year she comes back on around January as she releases a new book or so, or has some updates. And it's amazing to have her on and just talk to a friend. Because that's what we become friends over the 4 times and the 4 years, and just getting to know where we both are at that time and just chatting, and people just gravitate to it. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I've actually had Terry on my show as well, and she's absolutely amazing. And just the thoughts and everything that comes through her mind and the stories that she shares is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
And, it's just, those are things that help everyday people, which is, what we're looking for. Right. Us, the grinders, the people that are out there, we started in the military, started law enforcement, wherever, just like you, it's funny because you said your dad was like, we've had enough people in service. You're going to college. Right. That's the same thing I had, so they're like, you got to go to college. And I actually didn't earn my first degree until I was, I don't know, almost close to 30. And now I've got like 5. So it's like, trust me, I will not go back to school at this point. I'm done. But that's
that degree I started right out of high school. I finished just before I retired from the Army in 2015. So
yeah, that's exactly. I was kind of close to you, where I started an associate's in 2000, and then I finished that in 2009, and then went from there. So yeah, I know the feeling. And being an adult in school with younger folks is a little bit, it's different.
Whole other world.
It is. But, and just like you said, running a podcast isn't, for folks out there, it's just not hitting record. We do a lot of research before the show. We set up our time schedules, all kinds of things. But what it's like, what is it like behind the scenes with you? Are there any chaos or funny moments that you want to share?
Yeah. Running that whole, I started on Anchor FM. I don't know if you knew about Anchor. It's before like a Megaphone came out. So Spotify, which is an Anchor, was much easier to. It was so easy for me because I'm a nug with technology. It was easy for me to edit. I can do everything right on there. I can record on there, edit on there, produce, and publish. It was simple. And then I had a guest, Nate Palmer, came on and said, "Hey, bro, you need to get on video because people need to see you and hear what you're saying, to see your emotions because you're really good at this." So I went to video. So I do YouTube, but I do it off StreamYard. So I live stream all 3 shows a week now.
Oh, nice.
So I do Sunday and Thursday I host, Tuesday I produce. So Tuesday is called the Tuesday Crew. It's my brother and my friend Jake, another Army veteran. They get on there, and those 2 chuckleheads, they talk about stuff, and they have guests on. They have great guests too and bring the message. But the funny things is being able to sit back now and just produce while we talk and see the things, the learning curve they're on. It's the same one I was on, just that they went right to video. They didn't have the warm-up reel on Anchor or just on their phone like I was. They went right to video, so their face is in their face. And seeing how they kind of freeze up a little bit in the beginning. Now they're both kind of in this comfort zone where they might be too comfortable now, and I have to reel them back in. But it's fun.
Yeah, and you know what? That must be a different dynamic, too, because, for you being a one-man show, myself being a one-man show, it'd be different having a producer here to, produce us on this thing because I'd be like, wait, what are you talking about? But
Exactly.
no, it's amazing because the video thing too. I never ever wanted to be on video ever. I'm like, I've got a face for radio. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, I'm never going to go on video. And then I went to my first Podfest this last January, and they're like, you got to go on video. Even if you don't want to do it, just the short clips and social media gets so much, draws so much to the podcast that it's a huge win for you. And really all it is turn on one other device, right? So, but yeah, it is difficult because I'd never wanted this face to be out there, but unfortunately other people want to see it for some reason.
Exactly. And it's not up to us. It's for them.
It is because that's who we do it for, right? We don't really do it for ourselves because I can sit here and tell myself nice things, read books, learn on my own, but I do it because I want to be able to share it with other folks and help, hopefully get, like you said, help at least one person find something new and enhance their life, maybe enhance their mental health, whatever it may be. That's really what the driving force is behind it. And for me, I'm just at a hobby stage. I'm not making, I'm not making any money off of this. So it's just for me, I'm just, it's a hobby. I put all my time and effort into it, but I love it. And it seems like that's the same thing with you, Rich, and even going in now to being like more of a producer, like that's got to be different. Is that different for you on the production side?
I think it's more fun because I don't have to be dressed. But two, I can just sit back. I can laugh at them. I can listen to the whole show, listen to the guests, learn everything from the guests, but also I can see what the comments are from the audience, get questions from my Google Drive and Google phone that people send questions, and I can send it to them. So now they're getting audience questions while they're on the air. So it's
Yeah.
like real. It's almost like you're in a studio talking at a live studio, but you're
Yeah.
virtual, and they're getting all that feedback, and that drives them too. You can see when they get those questions, their eyes light up. Oh, we got another
Oh,
question.
yeah.
Oh, man, it goes in there. You can just feel the momentum go. And then there's sometimes I don't even put the questions in because they have the momentum.
Yeah. Because they're already going on their own. It's like, let's not mess it up. Yeah.
Don't mess up a good thing that's living. Let it go.
Exactly. That's probably one thing you learned from the Army is if they can mess up something, they will.
Oh, yeah, it'll happen.
Right. Yeah. I've heard from all my friends. They're like, okay, Army is hurry up and wait and let's see how we can mess this up.
How quick we can mess it up.
Exactly. So, Rich, keep in focus on the Misfit Nation because I think it is a fun show, and I've listened to a few episodes. But for you, what have you seen? Like, what's been the toughest part of growing the Misfit Nation? And I'm going to call it the Misfit Nation, not the show, because it is. It's really we're building communities here, and what not only what's the toughest part, but what would you say is like your biggest win that made it all worth it? And I think we've already answered this, but I'll let you answer.
I think the biggest learning curve for me was actually like marketing and all that side of it. The marketing side is it's rough, and
It is.
once you think you have it, it changes. So, like, just say the audio
Yeah.
side. The audio side is one thing. The SEO for audio is one thing, and then you have SEO for YouTube. And then if you on top of that, if you're putting a blog out on top of each episode, you have to know that as well. So you won't register on all three of them, but you'll register on one of them really well. And you got to learn
Yeah.
that along the way. And I think getting the word out across the world has been the biggest win for us, the Misfit Nation. We have three dudes from Nepal that are always come on the show. They always check in to make sure we're here and
Yeah.
make sure they're there at Mount Everest where they're guides over there. And it's awesome to have that reach, and having guests from around the world also help that. So that's like some of the wins there, and growing the nation and keeping my family of the Misfits together throughout this, and always giving them credit for everything we do here. Because if it wasn't for them being with me in 2010, 11, I probably would never have done this.
Yeah, and Rich, with your original Misfit Nation, do you have those guys on the show often to or have you had them on the show to have good conversations with you and share experiences?
I've had they were some of my first guests actually, kind of a voluntold kind of thing. They
Yeah, right.
they came on, they willingly came on, and then I had one come back on. He posted in Facebook one time that he was in that dark stage. He was going down, and I said, you know what, you're going to be on a live show tonight, and he couldn't say no, so he came on, and that dude is thriving now, so good. He's a RJ Bird. He's the one that does my intro. So if you ever listen to my
Oh,
intro,
nice. Yeah.
did that. He's a picture in there as him, and he has now purpose-driven hikers out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and he has a community there now of
Nice.
like-minded people that are just thriving. He's a big pride piece for us here at the Misfit Nation.
Yeah, that's awesome because if you could bring somebody on your show, especially a guy that you knew, that you literally chewed some of the same dirt with,
Yes.
And and to know that he was down and bring him on the show, and now look at how he's evolving his own life and getting out of his own way. I mean, essentially, that's what I always say. We're always in our own way, right?
Yes.
It's usually us. It's no one else saying, "Oh, you don't need to think about that. Just push it down." No, that's us. But yeah, that's a great story because bringing. I mean, it's a success story, right? That's the whole reason you started the podcast, was to keep the Misfits together and to make sure that you guys were all doing all right. And, to see that you bring, one of the original Misfits on and have him, help have some self-improvement in himself is absolutely fantastic. And, one question I just wanted to get back to was because just for me, say you're doing your live streams now. And how has that been? Because I know you probably started like I do, like record and then edit and then post. But how's the live streams been? How's that transition been for you?
It's much easier, I believe, with live.
Really?
There's a lot of stuff before the show you got to do, and then marketing after. But with the show itself, whatever happens, happens. There's no more editing because if you say it live,
Yeah.
it has to go on the audio because people have to hear the same thing. So
Yep.
you take that file from the live and you just publish it to the audio side, and what's there is there forever. So it's a little easier as long as all the things are working, all the technology things are working. And
Your
sometimes, like
presets. Yeah.
in
Exactly.
the green room, things don't go right all the time. So
Yeah.
you just got to
Yeah,
adjust.
absolutely. It's just, I work in technology now, Rich, and I always say this is by saying, and I got this from Homer Simpson because he used to say alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. Well, I've just switched that to say technology, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. So
100%.
yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times, like, I just go into work and, go on a meeting, like a Teams meeting, and all my audio stuff is all switched. And I'm like, I haven't changed a thing, but it's just like, yeah, technology definitely makes it different. But having that live streaming capability, it's kind of funny that, it's almost like bringing a radio show back,
Yes.
only over the internet as opposed to over the air, but then you get video with it too, which is fantastic. And I love the fact, like when you said you're doing, the production on one, is bringing in live guests and getting questions, because then it's just not you and I sitting here,
Right.
going back and forth. We get a lot of other questions that I may never think of.
Exactly. Or there's
Yeah,
ones you think of, but it sounds better coming from an outside voice. But it
exactly.
seems like the family's listening, let them come in here and talk. Even though you want to ask that same question, Jimmy D did. So what's
Yep. Exactly. And I'd rather hear it from a guest than, because a lot of times, I'll try to ask for guests to give some feedback, and I'll get some feedback on social media, but it's like, it's not real time. So I can't sit here and talk to you and then say, what do you guys think about what Rich and I talked about? So it might be something I have to try. I'm kind of getting encouraged to maybe do a live stream and start from there. I guess I got nothing to lose, right?
you do it once and you like
Maybe.
it. Either like it or you,
Yeah.
and it's either going to be A or B. And
Yep.
whatever, green pill, red pill, blue pill, whatever they call it.
Yeah,
One
exactly.
case test at that point and then go. And I never went back to straight audio after that. So I tell you, once I started going live, that was it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Rich, time to switch gears a little bit. I have a little segment that I call a rapid fire dude Q&A. Just a couple of quick questions just for folks to get to know you on a personal level, and no overthinking. So, and if there's a question that I ask that you don't want to answer, just say pass. I'm sure you won't. But all right, question number one, favorite memory from any of your deployments?
Favorite memory from any of my deployments, getting wounded myself in 2012 and the camaraderie that circled me after I got wounded.
Yeah. I don't want to go into too much detail if you don't want to, but do you want to share any details on that, on what happened?
Definitely. We were on patrol and we got ambushed on patrol. So we came back to our base, our cop fortress, and they stayed attacking us for the next couple hours with mortars. We had helicopter coverage, so it was awesome. The Apaches came in; they were doing great things. But then, of course, those things run on this thing called fuel, and they have to
Yeah.
go back home. And as soon as they turned to go home, we were all clear. And my soldier, was his first deployment. He's like, Sergeant, I want to talk to you because I helped these guys. He's a medic. I said, yeah, let's go outside and talk. So we went outside and talk. He told me what he did, and I hit him on the shoulder. Said, great job, brother. As soon as I did that, another mortar hit behind me.
Oh, wow.
My left leg, the back of my left leg out the front, and I didn't feel it. It was just adrenaline. And he gets
Yeah.
down. He was a dark skinned kid, a Spanish kid, and he turned pale. He's like, Sergeant, hey, let me help you. I said, no, help that guy. And he helped someone else, and I kind of limped in, put my tourniquet on, and got help from the guys inside the building. But they all rallied on me. Everyone there rallied on me. I evacuated. Well, they made me evacuate after, kicking and screaming, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Yeah. You wanted to stay?
And, like we talked about earlier, it was a SF medic came up to me and said, "Hey, Sergeant, you know what gangrene is?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want it?" I said, "No." He said, "Get on the damn helicopter." I said, "All right, good talk, man." And so I went on
Yeah,
the.
exactly. There we are getting in our own way again, right?
It's live and in color everywhere you go. And when I
Excellent.
get to the hospital and they're like, "All right, you're doing surgery." I said, "Why? It's just a little cut." And then they said, "No stuff in there." So they took some stuff out and they said, "Are we going to evacuate to Germany?" I said, "No, you're not." So I'm staying here. I got to get back to my team. They said, "Wow, something's wrong with you people." So I went in 32 hours. I was back on my cop leading
No
with.
kidding.
So, and just,
Wow.
I didn't want to leave that family. And when I got back there, it was just one straight big rah. Everyone came together, hugs, high fives. Let's get back in the fight.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Is that camaraderie that you guys already had just built upon your incident, and I'm sure probably many more right throughout the times. And it's different because even in the police service, I had the same thing. I had an old partner of mine that got hit by a drunk driver on duty, and every single person from the department was at the hospital that night, and we were there with them. And it's just because you get that camaraderie. These are the people to the left and your right that are looking out for your back, and you're looking out for them, and they may be the only difference between you going home at night or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I totally get it. All right. Sorry, we're going so much for rapid fire, right, Rich?
Just slow down here.
Yeah. Coffee or energy drinks to keep the podcast going?
It's a combination thereof. I start off with coffee in the morning and I switch over to Monster Juice midday.
Yeah. That's that's so funny. I like coffee all morning, and then I usually just switch to water in the evening. If not, I'll sleep. It sucks getting old. I used to be able to drink a Mountain Dew right before bed, but now I'm like, I can't. All right. The movie Hurt Locker, overrated or underrated?
Great question. And my co-host of my Tuesday crew is EOD guy, and he knows the guy that was written about. He hates that movie, so I always drag it into him. I tell him that's his anthem movie. That's what he watches to get pumped up for the show. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's funny. I do too, but obviously I've never been an EOD, so I'm sure he's probably sitting there just picking it apart, right? Like they'd never do that.
Every time.
Yep. If you could have any superpower, what's it going to be?
The ability to jump tall buildings, I guess.
Right? Like Superman leap tall buildings in a single bound. That's right. Best advice you got while you were in the Army?
Lead from the front, and when not in charge, don't be in charge.
That's excellent advice. And that's not just for the Army, folks. That could go anywhere in business and everything. A go-to snack on your recording days?
Use those little cherry slices.
Gotcha. And last one guest you're dying to have on the Misfit Nation. If you could have anybody, bring them on. Who's it going to be?
General Petraeus.
Oh, nice. Nice. That's awesome. So as you can see, that was pretty easy, right? Not too much to go there, just a little bit to get to know a little bit about your background and whatnot. But, everything that we've had going on, this has been awesome with you, Rich, and I want to be cognizant of your time. But what's one thing that you want every dude or dudette that's listening to take away from your story or the Misfit Nation or both?
Oh, great question. Something I like to share. Every day we're challenged in life, and every day you have the choice to either move forward or quit. What we do at the Misfit Nation is we stack victories. You wake up in the morning, you just start stacking those victories every day. So from the minute you wake up, that's a victory for us as we're older guys now. That's a victory.
Yeah.
1, you have got up, made your bed. 2, every day something's going to go wrong. I don't care who you are, something's going to go wrong.
It is.
Learn from it. Don't let that stop your day. Push it aside, learn from it, and move forward. You get 18 wins today, get 19 tomorrow, and keep being ahead of the curve. Just keep stacking those victories.
Man, I love that. And, that's something that just everybody, it doesn't matter, if you're in the Misfit Nation or not, but everybody could take that to heart because just a little win, and you're right. Something goes wrong every single day. It could be extremely minute that we don't even worry about it, or it could be extremely large. But in reality, we should probably handle those things like the minute one, right? Not try to blow it all out of proportion and just handle it as it comes. But yeah, that's fantastic. If you did 18 wins yesterday, try to get 19 tomorrow. Yep. Very simple. Just one, right? Absolutely. I love that. And Rich, for our listeners out here, where can they find your show and how can they get a hold of you?
Best place to find us is themisfitnation.com. Misfit Nation, all one word, themisfitnation.com. It has all our audio shows are on the first page. I think the second page is video. You can buy some merch if you want, like this cool shirt. And I think the contact button's on there as well. The email goes right to my email. The email is info@themisfitnation.com. If anyone in your audience and the Just Dude audience wants to be on the show, just send us an email, and my virtual assistant Ziva. She will weed it out and tell me yay or nay, and I'll get right back.
That's
We
awesome.
get back to you within an hour and knock it out. And especially, I'd like to flip the mic and have you on our show, Nathan.
Yeah, I'd love to come on anytime. If you got an opening, let me know. I'd be happy to be there with you. I think we could talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I can figure out a time for you.
Excellent. And is there anything else? Because I just love the idea of the Misfit Nation. And thank you for serving this great country for over 20 years. And I know you probably hear this a lot, but I love this country. I think that this is the best country in the world, hands down. I mean, we are definitely the freest. I know that there's a bunch of political stuff going on right now, left, right. It's been going on forever, my entire life, really. It seems to be a little more, rowdy nowadays than it used to be. But, the thing is, this is a great nation, and you took your time to serve and volunteer to serve, because in my lifetime, we have not had a draft.
Right.
So, it's in the 60s, 60s, 70s we did, but now we haven't. And we've been very lucky because of people like you that have decided, you know what, I'm going to take up arms to defend this great nation that we have and try to protect the freedom we have. So I just wanted to say thank you. Sorry for rambling there. I want to say thank you, and thank you to all your listeners and to all the listeners out there that have ever served in the U.S. military. We genuinely do appreciate everything that you do, because without you, we would not be able to sit here and just freely talk like we do.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Rich, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want the audience to know? I know this went really quick for some reason.
When you're having a good conversation, it always flies by. I do have 2 books.
Yeah.
13-Step Guide to Success and Out of the Darkness. 13-Step Guide to Success was born out of our friend COVID that came out in 2019.
Yeah.
I would write stupid posts on Facebook every month, say, you made it to this level of Jumanji. Good job.
Right.
That is. And at the end of the year, I put out 12 steps. My daughter said, you need to put that in a book, Dad. So I did. I put in 13-Step Guide to Success.
Nice.
A book that I was writing forever about a soldier's basically his transition home out of the darkness. It's a fictional novel based on a lot of good dudes and dudettes I served with, and both of them are available on Amazon.
Awesome. That was going to be my next question, Rich. Where can the listeners get their books? But Amazon.com. And it's Rich LaMonica, LaMonica, correct?
Sure.
Awesome. Just want to make sure that everybody gets that spelling right. Well, Rich, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we depart today?
It's been great chatting with you, Nathan. Just a dude, the audience, man. It's been great sharing my story with you. Like I said, if you need anything, want to be on my show, just reach out. We'll hang out and do the same thing.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So everybody out there, Rich shared his website information. It's also going to be on justadudepodcast.com. Rich is going to have his own guest page there. So it'll have all his links, all his social media, everything. So you can get a hold of Rich there. That's a wrap, dudes and dudettes. Big thanks to Rich LaMonica for hanging out. Go check out his podcast, The Misfit Nation. It's real, it's raw, and it's for anyone who has ever felt like a misfit. Don't forget to subscribe and rate Just a Dude Podcast. It's available everywhere you receive your podcast downloads. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep being yourself. I'm Nathan with Just a Dude Podcast.